Thank you, Griff. I hope you guys all enjoyed your lunch. My name's Alex Ferry. My teammates Ryan Minturn and Vince Gonzalez are here with me. Today we're going to be presenting on a product of industrial finishes called TruGreen Poly. Before we get started, I wanted to thank a couple people. First of all, we wanted to thank Mike, our client, as we've had the opportunity to work with him and their new product, TruGreen Poly. Next, I also wanted to thank Jonathan Booth, our community mentor, sitting up front asking the hard questions for you guys. He's been a great mentor for us as far as improving our work and also what we're talking about. Also, we'd like to thank our professor, Kelly Gosman, as she's been able to keep us on track and also keep us focused within this project. Lastly, I want to thank you all for coming out here today, as it's an honor to be able to present this in front of you. So as you can notice probably in your programs, we have a fourth member, Carrie Wallace. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it today because she's at a golf championship, so we're wishing her luck with that. For academic purposes, she included a video of her portion of the presentation, which we're not going to include today because we didn't feel that it was up to par. Golf joke, come on guys. All the golfers are gone, so I understand. But we're going to be reading off her script because we felt that it was still important to stress what TruGreen Poly's benefits are. So before we get started, I also wanted to mention Griff is going to give the judges 2 samples of paint. Now these are TruGreen Poly's paint products, and we wanted to at least show them because what we'll be bringing up in this presentation is why TruGreen Poly is head and shoulders above any other competitor. As you can smell, there's not going to be any strong smells. This is a huge benefit because you can paint on one side of the room and continue business on the other. You will get a hint of ammonia, but when you mix the 2 together, it's not going to have any effect and you won't smell that actually. So now I'll go ahead and read Carrie's portion. So for the past several months, we have been working with Industrial Finishes, specifically Mike Duncan and their marketing director, on a new product called TruGreen Poly. Industrial Finishes is a company based out of Eugene, Oregon. They're a coatings company. They employ over 250 people nationwide and have been in operation for almost 60 years. Ever since Stuart Barr and Jerry Bruce bought the company, 9 years later, Barr bought out his partner and has been leading ever since. The first distinctive feature of our product is that it is not meant to be a floor coating, but was actually intended to be used in the Russian military. Dr. Oleg Vygotsky was the man who created this product. He actually defected to Israel while constructing an adhesive when he accidentally created TruGreen Poly as a paint product. It's cool to see that our client's paint was actually intended to be used for the Russian military. TruGreen Poly is a hybrid polyurethane that is used in paints and coatings. This product is very unique in many aspects. This uniqueness helps place it head and shoulders above any competition. So why is TruGreen Poly so unique, you may ask? Let me tell you. Breathing in paint fumes, as I explained earlier, can be harmful for any user of the paint. This includes contractors and even people that are working within those same environments. The second distinctive attribute is that TruGreen Poly will not interrupt business. This is because there are no harmful chemicals involved in the painting process. The third distinctive is how long the paint will last. An average paint product will typically last about 4 to 6 years. TruGreen Poly's product is actually around 7 to 10 years. This gives it a huge advantage compared to any other competitor. We will elaborate on each of these in our presentation, but because of these characteristics, TruGreen Poly is well above, head and shoulders above any other competition. As we discussed this project with Mike, our team concluded that we needed to give our client 3 main deliverables. These included a product comparison, a list of organizations and endorsements that we feel TruGreen Poly should seek after, and a list of certifications and seals of approval to further their product. So now I want to hand it over to Ryan, who's going to go ahead and explain a product comparison of our first comparison, which is DevThane 359.
Thank you, Alex. We will be doing a visual aid activity where we will be comparing our product, TruGreen Poly, with one of its closest competitors, DevThane 359, in a time-lapse cycle. Now, before we get started, let's get on our coats. It might get a little messy. Now, I'd like to point out that both of these paints are floor finishing products. We'll be demonstrating with a 300 square foot garage, which can fit a single car. Now, at the beginning of our activity, it'll look as though Defthane 359 is the more successful product. But you will see by the end of our activity why True Green Poly is the more efficient and long-lasting product. To begin the process, we must first prep the floor. This may include sanding or grinding. 4 hours in, you can see that Defthane has a little bit of a head start. This is because of their spray technology. Now 6 hours in, you can see that True Green Poly is gaining a little bit of ground. Both products are beginning to cure and are almost ready for recoat. We are now 12 hours in, and Defthane 359 holds the lead. This is because they have had a longer time to sit. Now it takes a minimum of 3 days for both True Green Poly and Defthane 359 to fully cure. Now we are 2 weeks in, and both True Green Poly and Defthane 359 are very comparable. Both products have not only just fully cured, but also are ready for heavy traffic of any sort. Now we are 2 years in, and both products are doing a terrific job withstanding any kind of activity. Now we are 4 years in, and this is the huge difference between True Green Poly and Defthane 359. As you can see, Defthane 359's lack of quality in its paint is causing for it to fade. This means that now Defthane 359 must start over from the beginning. This is a huge difference between True Green Poly and the rest of their competitors. Now we are 6 years in, and True Green Poly is doing a terrific job withstanding constant flow of activity and business. Although True Green Poly is getting near its time, this is one of many reasons why True Green Poly is head and shoulders above the rest of their competition. Now, as you can see, one job at True Green Poly ended up costing $1,500, while Defthane 359, it took a little over 1.5 jobs and cost us $2,400. Next up, I'll be handing it over to Vince, who will be speaking about the financial impact.
Thank you, Ryan. So now we'll talk about the financial impact that True Green Poly will have when they run with our recommendations and deliverables. But first, I'd like to point out that the financials were not in our scope of work really hugely, so we'll be giving brief descriptions of each. So as you can see on the board, we have allocated $40,000 of expenses that we believe and feel that will occur within the next 6 to 8 months. Next, we have our estimated sales forecast that we feel as a team and Mike Duncan that will happen within the next 8 to 9 months. As you can see, a small steady growth within the first 3 or 4 months, but as we see late summer, early fall, expected to sell 600 gallons of our premium paint and then taper off in December and January. We expected our clients to come in two big important purchase buying power. Our first being clients who want the environmentally friendliness of our product, and secondly, clients who want to take advantage of the habitability of our product when laying it down. Next, we have our break-even analysis. Our total initial investment for this was $200,000. Going off our budget earlier of $40,000, $160,000 of it is coming from the first purchase order of 3,300 gallons of our premium True Green Poly paint, which is very, very exciting. Out of that 3,300 gallons, we are expected to sell $220,000, and that puts our break-even point within November, December, and anything past that going into 2017, very profitable. Now we have Alex Ferry with a product comparison.
Thanks, Vince. So as you guys can tell, we've been able to compare Defthane 359 and True Green Poly already, which showed True Green Poly's head and shoulders above any competition. The main reasons that we pointed this out is because of True Green Poly's durability, it's VOC-free, and it's habitable during painting. These 3 things give it a huge advantage compared to any other competitor. When we compared price, you can see that True Green Poly sits at around $1.15 a gallon. This is compared to other products which sit at a low of about $90 and a high of around $1.40 per gallon. But this shows nothing as far as looking at durability. When you look at a product that lasts 7 to 10 years, comparing it to a product that only lasts 4 to 6, you're saving more money than you think you are. This is a huge factor for True Green Poly. As you look at the 7 to 10 year ratio, it averages out to be about $15 a year per gallon. This compares to the Defthane 359, where it sits at about a price point of $90 a gallon, which averages out to $22 a year per gallon, which you're obviously saving money, and this would be huge for projects in the future, which we're hoping True Green Poly will continue to pursue. I'll next hand it over to Ryan, who's going to focus on these organizations that we feel True Green Poly should pursue.
Thank you, Alex. I will be speaking about a few of the organizations that have decided to negotiate with industrial finishes and using True Green Poly, along with a few organizations that we believe would highly benefit from this product. Our first organization is hospitals. Hospitals are a chaotic environment. The workplace is stressful enough without employees also having to be concerned about the operations of the facility. True Green Poly allows it to where a section or wing of the hospital would only be shut down for a few hours and then maybe be back up and running. It's also convenient for the patient, who now only has to leave their room for a few hours instead of having to be relocated to a new room completely. Our next organization, we believe, would highly benefit from True Green Poly are cafeterias. Cafeterias are extremely difficult to relocate or to shut down. True Green Poly allows it to where an individual can be dining on one side of the facility while the paint is being coated and laid on the other side. Not only is this convenient for the customer, but also for the cooking staff. Now, the cooking staff can stay in their kitchen and their own environment with their own appliances. An organization that has decided to negotiate with industrial finishes and using True Green Poly is the Anaheim Convention Center. The Anaheim Convention Center is made up of over 35,000 square feet of flooring that needs to be treated, along with walls and doors. Now, the Anaheim Convention Center runs a busy and tight schedule, and to shut down the facility for several weeks is nearly impossible. True Green Poly allows it to where business can continue to flow while the paint is being laid on the other side. Not only is this convenient for the convention center, but also more cost effective. With True Green Poly, it would only have to be laid every 7 to 10 years instead of the typical 4 to 6 years of a normal product. Our next organization that has decided to use True Green Poly is Stanford University. Now, because Stanford is a school, their number one concern is a paint with a healthy environment. True Green Poly has 0 VOCs and 0 isocyanates, which creates that healthy environment that Stanford University is looking for. Now, the faculty, students, and parents have nothing to worry about. Also, Stanford can now do the job whenever they want during the school year. They don't have to wait till the summer because the paint will not disrupt classes. Our last organization that we want to suggest True Green Poly is used by is the Oregon State Prison. Now, the Oregon State Prison's process to redo maintenance on a section or a wing of the prison is this. First, they must withdraw the prisoners, transport them to a new location, house them for several weeks, and then bring them back to the prison and place them back in their cells. This costs the state millions of dollars per year. True Green Poly can eliminate those expenses. True Green Poly allows it to where you can locate your prisoners in a different section of the facility, get the job done, and bring them back on in. Next up is Vince, who will be speaking about certifications and seals of approvals.
Thanks, Ryan. As part of our third deliverable, we were tasked at finding some certifications and seals of approval that we believe will help expose the identity and brand of True Green Poly. We've narrowed down to our top 5 that we believe would do just that. Our first being Green Seal. This seal will be very important to True Green Poly's future, as no other paint currently has this logo on it. Green Seal is known as having the most stringent and comprehensive standard in the industry. They use scientific-based programs to empower consumers, purchasers, companies to create a more sustainable world. The second recommended one is GreenGuard. GreenGuard is a certification focused on making sure products used in indoor spaces meet strict chemical emission standards, just like VOCs and just like isocyanates, which we talked about. The third one is the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. By obtaining the recognition and approval, True Green Poly will just have that much extra edge over the competition. Since no harmful chemicals will be released into the air while laying the paint down, True Green Poly is safe for people who have respiratory and breathing issues. Places like schools, malls, healthcare facilities, and others Ryan has just mentioned are perfect candidates for using this product. Our fourth one is FloorScore. FloorScore believes that they are the most recognized indoor air quality certification standard for harsh surface flooring materials, adhesives, and underlayments, which is why we want their stamp of approval. The fourth is the last certification we recommended is the most widely used third-party verification for green buildings. It is known as LEED, or otherwise Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Their main focus is to inspire project teams to seek innovative solutions that are better for not only the environment, but the community. True Green Poly has already been approved for this certification, but we feel that True Green Poly needs to continue to use this as a selling point for future customers. As Alex mentioned, companies can earn potential government grants by using the approved product, which is a huge upside to this certification. Now we have Alex with the conclusion of our presentation.
As we've had the opportunity to share with you what our feelings are on True Green Poly, I wanted to end with this note. Speaking with Mike, our client, we focused on delivering 3 things that we felt would benefit both him and his sales team. The first of which being the product comparison. We feel this is very important as far as increasing sales and the marketing of this product, just to encourage his sales team that True Green Poly really is a head and shoulders above any other competition. Next, we focused on suggesting some organizations and endorsements. We feel that these are going to be important to continue getting True Green Poly's foot in the door, as they've already worked with Anaheim Convention Center and Stanford and a few other organizations. We feel that they should continue to reach out to these. Next, we focused on certifications and seals of approval. These are ways that True Green Poly can throw the cherry on top. They already have a product that's well head and shoulders above any other competition. But to stay above any other competition, we feel that they need to continue getting those certifications, just because every other green paint doesn't have these certifications yet. In closing, I wanted to bring up one last image just to set your minds right, understanding that True Green Poly is a head and shoulders product. So you guys all know who Shaq is, right? Yeah? Everybody? He's a 7'2" ex-NBA player. Now, I'm a 6'2" player from Corbin, basically a nobody compared to him. Now, you put him against me on a court, and I don't stand a chance. This is True Green Poly when you look at any other paint product. True Green Poly is head and shoulders above any other competition because of its durability, it's VOC free, and because you can paint in the same area that you can work in. This gives it a huge advantage over any competitor, and we feel that Mike and his team have a slam dunk product. Thank you. We are now open for questions. Thanks, guys. We did it.
I guess we should permit puns with questions then.
That was better than our practice.
So far, there's silence.
That's how good it was, right?
I have a
Oh, down
question.
here. Shannon.
Question. Okay, so when you're looking at these certifications, number one, in your comparison, it did look like one of the competitors does have a certification versus what you're saying in your presentation. Did you take into account the cost of gaining these certifications and look at what the return on investment would be versus the cost of getting the certifications?
Yeah, so that's kind of a loaded question, but to start off, that certification was actually permitted by that company itself. So that certification doesn't hold its own, we feel. It was a certification basically to differentiate one paint product compared to another. So saying they had one green product compared to just a regular paint product. So that's for users of their paint. And then following up with that, looking at the return on investment, that wasn't within our scope of work, but we put that in the product launch budget, which we featured about $20,000 for sales and marketing.
Ken?
Very well done. You can always tell if there's not a lot of questions. But I have one. Is this a patented product?
Yes, it is. So I was going to let someone else answer because it's a really easy one, but Industrial Finishes actually they have the rights to this product for 3 years, and they're looking to increase that to 6 years.
So they have a protected patent on the ingredients,
The chemistry of it, yes.
chemistry of it for 3 years. They've purchased the rights to that?
Yes, because it was transferred over to California, and now it's with their store.
So at the end of 3 years, they have the right to then extend that?
Yeah, they're working in the process right now to extend that to
So
6.
that's an unknown at this point?
Yes.
Okay. So at the end of the 3 years, hopefully they will be able to continue with that protective measure to the marketplace. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be the goal.
Okay. So that's an unknown, right? Okay. What precludes their competitors from copying the ingredients at some point, or could they? To what extent have you guys studied? Is there an availability for someone to come up with similar product, maybe different technology, but product that maybe accomplishes the same task for which demonstrates, the moat, if you understand what I mean by that, the moat of this product.
We didn't specifically research that aspect of it, but as we compared other products within the market right now, there's no one that's coming close, and so we feel that with our research, it was extensive enough to understand that there isn't a true competitor that's going to come out soon. Is that answering your question? Okay.
Go ahead, follow up, Ken.
Is this a marketplace for which right now your client is operating?
You want to explain organization?
Yeah, they just began using True Green Poly, and so yes, it just hit the market.
So they're already in this marketplace with an existing product line?
They're running demos right now, like we gave examples of Stanford University and Anaheim. So we're doing the demos, and then right now they're doing the colors. So yes.
But they currently outside of True Green, they currently have product that they are distributing throughout the same market channels? Or would this be a whole new marketplace for them?
For industrial finishes specifically?
Correct.
Yes, so now True Green Poly is their own entity, and so True Green Poly is beginning to enter the market. For example, we just learned that actually U of O is starting to sample the product as well. So it's entering sample stages, and we're hoping that those would lead to the future sales.
Okay, but if they didn't use True Green, do they still have products that they are distributing currently into the marketplace in this same marketplace?
Industrial finishes or other competitors?
Industrial finishes.
Not similar to the green aspect of it.
So for industrial finishes, your client, this would mean a whole new marketplace potentially for them with this product? New customers, new sales organically?
Yes, as far as the green aspect comes with it.
So at the end of 3 years, what precludes a behemoth such as a Sherwin-Williams, who are, right, a monster compared to industrial finishes, which is tiny of 250 employees. At the end of the 3 years, what precludes a monster company from coming up with a similar type of product that performs very similarly and then just squashing squashing your client?
And that's why we're hoping that they'll continue to grow and set the foundation with the organizations. We feel that they need to get into the market quickly so that way they can get the advantage and hold it.
So it's a 3-year race.
Basically, yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, we're surprised Sherwin-Williams and other big competitors haven't entered this.
Got it. Okay, very well. Thank you.
Down here.
Excellent job, gentlemen. You listed 2 organizations in California. How does this rate in a Prop 65 statement?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Are you familiar with Prop 65 in California?
I am not, no.
Okay. I guess my question was is if this fell outside of Prop 65, you have greater than a home run, you have a grand slam home run, because that would be so big in California.
Mm-hmm.
Randy? What does VOC mean?
Volatile organic compounds.
Brock?
Great presentation. So I love you guys' sales strategies. I don't really have any critiques or anything. I just kind of have a question. Did you guys look into aerospace and military stuff?
Yes, we did, but a big portion of applying paint for them is spray. And so that's one thing that Mike Duncan and True Green Poly is really working towards to create the technology to do that. In order to do that, you would have to get really harmful chemicals to get the paint off the guns. That's when that's the whole goal, is to eliminate that. But they are working on that right now. But as far as the aerospace industry, cars, that sort of thing, they're working on that right now to create the sprayable. So.
No. Rob, you want to ask a question?
So a great presentation, fellas. Really good. So just having some paint background experience, does the paint, does it have an application for a vapor barrier at all? Because that would move it into a home market for residential. In our area, that might be huge. And also, is it tintable? And is it only for commercial application? or is it going to be sold in other outlets besides Industrial Finishes since they own the production rights for it right now?
Can you repeat the first question? Sorry, I got stuck on the last part of it.
Okay. So is it, because of its durability, does it have a rating for a vapor barrier?
Not quite sure what the vapor barrier is.
So like in a basement, you have, depending on the way the basement is structured, you may have some issues with moisture. And there's a lot of products out there for that, but because of the durability of it, I'm wondering if there's a way when you put this down on top of concrete, because that sounds like that's part of the application, you're rolling it on, not spraying it, does it have the durability to create a barrier between what's inside your house and what's going to be outside your house?
I believe so. Oh, yeah, it does. I don't know like the super details on that, but it does.
And just to follow up to the other two questions, is it only primarily commercial use, or do they have endeavors to offer it to the residential market?
No.
And is it tintable?
I don't know about the tintable aspect, but I do know that it is available for commercial and home. Our project and what we did for our scope of work is focus on commercial and endorsements, getting our brand out there as far as certifications and other things like that. But yes, to answer your question, yes, it is.
Good job.